Good afternoon, this is the POS News broadcast of 12 o'clock. In today's news, the midterm elections in the USA and a symbolic banking action in Catalonia. First, some serious concerns regarding the link between climate change and poverty. Climate change and poverty over the last several years, POS News has contributed several reportages to both, and today these problems cannot be seen any longer, according to scientists. As we have experienced this year, the climate is changing in the Netherlands. The summer was extremely warm and dry, and several temperature records have been broken throughout the year. However, this is happening all around the world, and the climate will continue to change. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change predicts that the temperature on Earth will have risen with 2 or 4 degrees Celsius by 2100. The global warming, as a result of concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, has already led to shrinking mountain glaciers, melting ice sheets, and consequently rising sea levels. Moreover, the seasons have become more unstable. This results in extreme weather such as heat wave, heavy precipitation, tropical cyclones, and droughts occurring more frequently. To bring this in connection with global poverty, we will zoom in on food and drinking water. Together with shelter and clothes, food and drinking water form the basic needs. Basic needs are the minimum resources that are needed to ensure long-term physical well-being. The minimum amount of income that is needed to obtain these resources defines the absolute poverty line. The sectors that provide these basic needs are the two most climate-sensitive sectors, namely the agriculture sector and the water sector. Hence, these sectors will be affected the most by inevitable climate change. Scientists identify 3 key risks of climate change with respect to these sectors. Firstly, due to climate change, it is expected that the global food supply will decrease. It is not likely that this will happen during the first half of this century, as the reduction in food production in certain areas will be offset by the increases in production in other areas. However, the increasing temperature will reduce the global food production during the second half of the 21st century. As the global food supply falls, the food prices will increase. The increase in price will be particularly hard on poor households, as they spend a relatively big portion of their income on food. This effect has been seen before, but then as a cause of spikes in oil prices, which makes farming more expensive. Secondly, reduction in agricultural productivity due to climate change will mostly likely fall in developing countries. Here also live the world's poor, who are primarily farmers and depend on local agriculture for their income. With respect to this, farmers using rain to water their crops are most vulnerable, since it is expected that such farmers in Latin America, for example, will lose an average of a net revenue of $175 per hectare per increase of 1 degree Celsius. Farmers using irrigation to keep livestock are less vulnerable to this. People who depend directly on climate-sensitive sectors, such as agriculture, are most exposed to these negative effects of climate change. Moreover, the people depending on these sectors are mainly poor people living in developing and low-latitude countries. The final key risk of the agriculture and water sector is related to the water supply on Earth. Climate change will alter precipitation patterns in the future. However, it is not clear how the rain will be distributed across the planet. Due to global warming, the demand for water will increase as well. The combination of a reduced water supply and a higher demand for water will result in water scarcity. As many developing countries rely heavily on their water resources, they will be most at risk. Both rural and urban people will feel the effects of scarcity. Urban poor people spend a large share of their income on drinking water, and this will become more as water prices increase due to scarcity. Moreover, farmers rely on water for the irrigation of their crops. All in all, climate change will have serious effects on the world's poor, as increased food and water prices due to scarcity will harm them the most. Moreover, many people in developing countries still depend on agriculture as their main source of income, which is unfortunately the most climate-sensitive economic sector and makes their income as subject to uncertainty. As a result, it is likely that there will be more people who cannot meet their basic needs. Therefore, although the United Nations are putting in efforts to reduce poverty and work towards the Millennium Development Goals, the consequences of climate change might undermine these efforts or even reverse the process. To stop this process, one of the authors of the book Climate Change and Global Poverty proposed 5 broad set of solutions which will be discussed thoroughly during our late night broadcast tonight. Next, on Tuesday, November the 6th, the midterm elections will be held in the United States. In this election, all 435 seats in the House of Representatives and the 35 of the 100 seats in the Senate will be contested, as well as some governorships and state and local elections.